Finally, you have your chance to rest. It's been a long day. Lesson planning, creative thinking exercises, inquiry projects, and you're exhausted. Just when you think you can escape it all for a few hours, you have a dream. We all know that dream. The one that starts out with you teaching your lesson with a class full of attentive students where presumably everything is going according to plan. In fact, your lesson seems to be quite the hit. This, however, is not where your story ends. Just when you think that nothing can go wrong, it happens. One of your students has jumped atop his table as if he were riding a wave on a beach somewhere far away from your classroom. His classmates love it, and it has started to cause quite a chatter amongst your typically studious group. Before you know it, some of the students have formed small cadres of debate throughout your classroom. You look to interject, but the damage is already done. The class has fallen into disarray. This is no dream. This, in fact, is a nightmare. How can a teacher effectively mitigate the distractions that arise from one or many disruptive students within the classroom? This nightmare doesn't have to be our reality. In fact, there are many strategies a teacher can use to implement a proactive and effective classroom management strategy. What we don't want is to make our classroom management style synonymous with discipline or obedience whereby students are fearful of speaking up and participating within the classroom. Instead, we should seek to create a reinforcing environment that establishes expectations for positive behavior. Recent research conducted within the United States by Lindsay T. Back et al. Asserts that positive teacher relationships, effective classroom management strategies, and a positive overall school climate are directly linked to student achievement. Within this study, teachers received training specifically focused on improving classroom management skills called the CHAMPS model, standing for conversation, help, activity, movement, and participation. By utilizing methods that allowed for teachers to report these variables on a Likert scale survey with responses ranging from strongly agree to strongly disagree, data was collected over 3 years. During this period of time, students were academically assessed and results showed that academic achievement was found to improve within the schools that established a collaborative staff relationship, a positive and safe school climate, and effective classroom management strategies. This is not the only study that would suggest that these variables are positively linked to student success. In fact, there are many studies that can be found that correlate effective teaching and achieving students. Now, how is this relevant to my practice? Our classrooms are filled with culturally, academically, and behaviorally diverse students, and our strategies must reflect this diversity. Understanding that some students come from areas of the globe where classroom expectations are very much different from those present in Canadian classrooms, it then becomes essential to establish expectations for our classrooms and communicate this to students in a consistent and culturally sensitive way. Carol Weinstein et al. Assert that by creating a physical setting that supports academic and social goals, establishing expectations for behavior, communicating consistently, developing a classroom environment that is caring, working with families, and using appropriate interventions to assist students with behavioral problems, we can help the effectiveness of a teacher within the classroom and influence our colleagues. It is not a secret that the majority of research regarding classroom management supports similar findings. However, if teachers lack the consistency required to implement effective strategies within the classroom and use a dynamic, practical approach, it would be difficult to increase the responsibility students have for their own behavior. It is within our abilities to offer engaging instruction that motivates students to explore the world around them and to think of how they would fit within it. Discipline does need to be addressed when it surfaces and before it takes control of your class. However, before we punish our students, we should model positive strategies for working collectively so that these issues do not get in the way of the real fun, which is engaged learning. You know that nightmare I mentioned a little earlier? We have the power to avoid this. In a lot of ways, I can relate to the student because at times I was this student. Having observed classroom structure today, I'm inspired by the structure and methods proactively implemented to ensure student success. It takes a village, and the dynamic school body requires many dynamic professionals to support this success. So, what is an effective classroom management strategy? And where do we go from here? Students need to be supported, and by turning our research towards the incorporation of their voice, we hope to gain a better sense of what is necessary to support their development. Are we truly cognizant of their needs? One way we can support this is continuously improving our strategies that parallel innovative practice and research. Because if we are not the driver of change, the art of teaching is lost.